it's What If episode 4. Um, okay, so just to preface this, I would say that out of the 4 episodes, I only liked 2 so far. The second one and this one. And I thought the What If series was a very exciting project when I first heard of it. But now, after seeing the first episode and then the third one was not that great, the first I thought was just, very, it wasn't good. The second one was pretty emotional because obviously Chadwick was in it, and even Guardians and stuff. So I like that side of the MCU, and it was pretty good for me. But this episode is just I just I was weeping, and it was so emotional, and I thought Doctor Strange was done very, very well. I like the first Doctor Strange movie, but I thought that um, this episode really jumped into his mind and how he feels, how he thinks, and all that sort of stuff, and what's more important to him. And so basically, the premise is, what if he, instead of losing his hands, which were presented as the most important thing for him in the movie, here it switched to what if he loses Christine in the car accident, and he tries to prevent that, and then the consequences happen. So, just by the first opening scenes, the way he was so crushed by that, pun not intended, but yeah, it was very emotional, and I just loved up until the very end. I just loved this story. I would have taken a full movie with this, with this premise, and I would have just, loved it. And the visuals were insanely great. They even, kind of showed a flashback of the movie in animated form. I thought that was pretty cool. And the Watcher has more to do here, and there's, it's basically a Flashpoint story, kind of. There's Doctor Strange, there's reverse Doctor Strange, and he is trying to save his loved one, and the timeline is getting messed up, and all that stuff. And the very end also showed a very huge ramification that happens when you go to do that. And I think that's going to play a big part in the upcoming Doctor Strange movie, and the MCU as a whole. So that was a pretty well done episode. I think the best one definitely so far. So yeah, what do you guys think of it?
Kristen?
I love this episode. This episode really it kind of broke me a little bit because once it started, you started to realize, oh, I get what's happening now. There's like kind of this point of no return where he's gonna keep trying to get back what he lost, and it's not gonna work out. Once you start to realize like that's what the main story beat was gonna be, you were just like crushed for, again, no pun intended, for like just what this means for him, and personally, like I liked all the What If episodes. I think they all kind of dip into what made the comics pretty cool. Like they can be kind of quirky, they can be, just fun side stories, but they can also be like very meaningful. And I thought this was like far and away the most meaningful episode they've done, and probably the most heartbreaking one they've done too. And I also thought like even though I do think the other episodes were kind of in a way showing what because even though it's called What If, like I think they did say this is official canon. Like this is kind of alternate universes. It's not to be taken as just like side cartoon, but it's actually gonna sort of it's kind of laying the blueprint for what the multiverse is in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like what they did, kind of showing how no, there are certain points that you can't get past, and that they're like absolutes. And if you try to break that, there is like a big ramification. I'm not sure if we can get into like spoilers, but like I feel like that's gonna be a huge thing going forward for like other movies like that are gonna dip into the multiverse, where it's like no, like just because there are alternate universes doesn't mean those universes can't end. Because in a way, like his universe did end in a way. So I loved it. This episode was great. I think this actually was the first episode that kind of had a complete, I guess, 1-to-1 cast of the actual movie. I think the other episodes they kind of like ScarJo didn't return for her episode,
Yeah.
but I think this actually retained the entire cast from Doctor Strange, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, for this episode, like I've been watching it true, and I really thought this episode was very like impactful, and it, as I said, like it was really upsetting and quite sad, and but I really love what they did with, the character of Christine, because I rewatched Doctor Strange like about a month ago or whatever, and I feel like she wasn't given much screen time, and that she wasn't that much of a necessary kind of love interest for Doctor Strange in like his own movie.
Yeah.
But as like, as I watched this episode, I was kind of like, she is taken very seriously, and she is kind of like, this is for me, like this is what she should have gotten in the Doctor Strange movie, really.
Yeah.
Like not her fate, but like her like her kind of her romance to Doctor Strange.
Right.
But no, I mean like each episode is definitely very individual, and I have to say the first episode that I found with Captain Carter was like, of course, it felt very like a pilot, and a lot of people were saying it is kind of like a pilot until I watched it, and I was like, I understand why it's like a pilot, but of course, at the first time watching it, I was like, oh my god, I didn't feel like it was a pilot, but then after watching it, I was like, okay, it is kind of like a pilot. But as the kind of episodes went through, especially episode 4, since it got so kind of like emotional, and I was like, I don't know what I'm signed up for at this point, but I was like, could each episode, like going forward now, is going to get even more emotional? I was like, I hope not, because episode 4 kind of broke me.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, like I enjoyed like all the characters. I was actually talking to my friend about it, and I was like, where was Mordu in this episode? Because I was like, he's usually there, and he was trying to explain to me that since it's kind of a different reality, maybe Mordu wasn't there for this reality. And I was like, or he's on his own side mission, they're going to put him in later somewhere else. So I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. So I was like, yeah, I mean, but yeah, no, like I enjoyed this episode. I really thought it was good, and I really have to say, like, they did Christine's character a lot of justice in this. Well, not her fate, but like as a love interest to Doctor Strange, and like kind of her more of a majority of a role for her in this show. And all I could think about was every time there was, fate happen to her. I was thinking of Regina George from Mean Girls. I was like, oh no, they really don't like this character. But but yeah, no, overall, like I enjoyed it, and I thought it was a great episode, and I'm excited to see how they're going to go on now, because episode 4 was quite like a shocker. So I hope it's not as devastating, but who knows what's going to happen next, really. So that's why it's called What If.
Yeah, I agree with the Christine part as well. I thought I thought Rachel McAdams did a pretty good job at making us feel bad for, what keeps happening to her. So yeah, more than the movie itself.
I love consequences in film. I love when Stacy dies in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Not that I hate the character, I just like, or when Superman dies in Batman v Superman. I just think it adds a lot to the story and to the characters when there is consequences to things that happen. And here, I love this episode because there was consequences. It didn't end happy. The Watcher is there, and he can't step in, and he lets Doctor Strange kind of waffle in his misery of, I was wrong, and I don't want to spoil that, but I'm spoiling that. But
No, actually, we can talk spoilers.
ramifications.
Because it's been a few days, right? So
Yeah, so like there's, he's trying to change because his girlfriend died, or his wife died, and he's trying to change it and bring her back and stuff like that. So look, I just really like that. Some of the visuals are brilliant for an animated show. Fantastic, loved it, so engaging, such an impactful episode. It was great. As Grace said, to have the actual full voice cast there in it, I think it adds a lot to it when it's them. I was surprised that Rachel McAdams is in it. I don't think she's in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. No, I don't think so. I don't think she's returning. But yeah, it was awesome to see her return in this. But yeah, it was really, really good. I just liked how maybe we could see something like this in live action with the multiverse being cracked open with either Spider-Man 3 or Doctor Strange 2. Something like this could happen, and maybe some of those theories about an evil Doctor
Mm-hmm.
Strange in the trailer could be true. I don't necessarily think it is, but it could be true. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this episode. I just think um, I liked how he went back in time and he was in that universe. And I like how it could have been a plot hole to have him be the only Doctor Strange in that universe, even though he went back. There was actually another Doctor Strange there coexisting all that time as well. So I did like that, and the two of them kind of had to face off.
Right.
And I was afraid that the good Doctor Strange would win, because to me it wouldn't have made any sense whatsoever, because the evil Doctor Strange has been spending like what years getting stronger and
Yeah.
stronger, obtaining more magic and spells and stuff like that. So for me, if he was defeated, it wouldn't have made sense whatsoever. I understand how they're stronger if they're joined together because they're half a man, stuff like that. But come on, this guy knows more magic than this guy, and he's more experienced, so it made sense. So I'm glad that the evil guy won, the evil Doctor Strange won. But I'm also glad how he didn't really win, because he still lost.
Right.
Or in the end, he still lost. He killed the universe. He killed billions of people. So yeah, could we see something like that in live action? Maybe Toby's universe or Andrew Garfield's universe or some universe. But yeah, this was a really good episode, and Marvel's killing it, because I honestly think they've been taking a lot more risks with these Disney Plus shows. Falcon and the Winter Soldier for me at times was outstanding. That's my favorite Disney Plus show, especially the scene where what's the guy, the guy who played the new Captain America, for America, his name, where he just
Anthony Mackie.
he brute.
Falcon?
The white guy. No, the white guy.
Is it John
Oh.
Walker?
John Walker, yeah.
Yeah, John Walker.
Something
That's it. Yeah,
useful.
thanks, Vivian. Yeah, he just brutally killed that person, and the blood on the shield. Like, I love that so much, because it's so different from anything that Marvel have done. And I thought Loki was brilliant as well. So they're really killing it with these Disney Plus shows, and I think it's hard to beat Marvel, man. They're taking over animation now as well. So it's fair play to Kevin Feige and all the crew that work there, because they're doing an amazing job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. And yeah, that was our review for What If episode 4, and I cannot wait for the next one. I hope it's as good, or at least, better from this episode. But yeah, this is very, very, very good.
I think we have a few more episodes with Chadwick Boseman as well, which is going to be emotional. Like, that episode 2 wasn't his last one. He's going to have a few more, so that will be emotional, and I'm interested to see how they try and wrap up his story in the What If universe. We're all very eager to see how they do it in Black Panther 2. But yeah, it's just sad, but it's awesome to have more material of him in the role, and that will live on. So that's awesome.
Agreed.